It's a tricky one. This is a tricky one, man. AFTV, man. I think the best place to start with this is understanding the difference between politics and right and wrong. That's the key thing to notice here. So, I'm doing a football channel now. My focus is on football. I'm here to give you guys the best quality analysis, so forth, pre-match, post-match, of all of the biggest games and so forth. I'm not going to talk about religion and politics. It's not going to happen because it has nothing to do with football, really. So, and even if my channel was this massive, huge channel, I'm sorry, there is no right and wrong with politics. I have family members who are liberals. I have family members who are conservative. Myself, there's some of my views that are liberal, some of my views that are conservative. So there is no right and wrong with politics. It's just how you view life and how you think that a country should be governed with regards to healthcare, money, access to guns and so forth. So that is different. It's about who you are as a person. There's no right and wrong. The issue here is this Israel-Palestine conflict has been sold as a complicated political affair, which it isn't. This is right and wrong. Simple. Because I've always said, and I said this thing on my other channel, that if there are any Israeli people who can give me an argument as to why what Israel is doing to Palestine is right, by all means, message me and comment to me. Because unless you do, from what I've done, the research I've done as to how Palestine was illegally occupied in 1948, and how people were just shoved into someone else's land and compound, and how one side is being funded and helped by the greatest military force that human race has ever seen, and another force doesn't have an iota of the military force of one force. I have a brain, I can know that it's simple and right and wrong. So you come to the AFTV thing. Robbie doesn't have an obligation to speak on political matters. He doesn't. This AFTV is a Arsenal football channel. So their focus should be on football and Arsenal. So he doesn't have any obligation to be like, oh, no, boom. But the issue I had with the statement is, while I can respect, Robert, that no, you don't want to get involved in anything political and so forth because that's not what you're about, this isn't political. You should have no issues with saying, I stand with Palestine. Because it's right. You should have issues by saying that, man, these conservatives are a bunch of losers. Oh, man, these freaking liberals and so forth. Oh, these Christian people, this Islam people. No, that's wrong. Because with religion and politics, they're just different points of view. You just need to just accept that. But the issue is that mass media and so forth sold us the lie that this is a complicated conflict. But once you do the research independently and don't rely on mass media, which tells lies, you realize that, wait a minute, no, it's pretty simple. I lived here, you came here illegally, you didn't even ask for a permission to come here and so forth. You didn't even see what we want to do here and so forth. You're now here and so forth. Now you are fully occupying where we lived at before you. It's wild. Because see, I'm still trying to find out the details of what did Mo do, what did he say, and so forth. Because see, this is where it gets tricky. Because you have to keep the same energy. So if AFT was like, nope, it's Arsenal, it's football, we don't do anything political, boom. But then when you now see Black Lives Matter, raising fists and so forth, I don't feel that's political. I feel that's right and wrong. But some people may view that as political. So because there's some people that say, oh no, BLM is this political organization, which I don't think it is. No, it's just Black Lives Matter. It's not a political statement. It's just a human rights statement. But people can say, well, if you're allowing that message to come through, what is wrong with someone having the messaging of Palestine to come through? Because when you do the research and so forth, because I looked deeper into Twitter, and I think one of the people that I think works for AFTV said that they receive loads of messages from Jewish Arsenal fans saying that they don't want this, they don't want AFTV to get into anything political or geopolitical and everything, which is fair, but you have to keep the same energy. But my thing is, why I want to do this video is that I can understand where Robbie's position is. You run a business. And in a business, you have to make tough decisions. You may view them as unethical or immoral, but it is what it is. You run a business and people will hate you for some decisions you make. People will vilify for some decisions you make, but it is what it is. I don't know how long this football hut is going to last. I don't know how big it could be. I don't know where this is going to go. I just do this thing day to day and fingers crossed, hopefully, we can keep on growing. But I never, ever, ever want to be in a situation where I am not allowed to stand on the side of right based off external forces or pressures, because I would never be able to sleep at night. There is no amount of money you could give me to not stand on the side of right based off of just protecting cash and so forth. I could never do it. I could never. Hence why I would be a horrible boss. I'll be a horrible boss if, let's say, because I know if I was in Robbie's position and I know that no, what's happened to Palestine, no, it's wrong. It is wrong. And I've done the research, it's wrong. And there is no arguments from Israel that says what they're doing is right. There is no arguments whatsoever. So to sort of just ignore that and say, hey man, we have to look at interest and so forth and everything, when I know that no, this has nothing to do with politics. If this was political and so forth, step away. This is right and wrong. A side is clearly wrong, a side is clearly right. And see, this way it's not we're now getting so platforms and so forth. Again, nobody is under any, if you're a football channel, you are under no obligation to speak about anything other than football. But if you do have that platform and you know that you can reach tons and tons of people, a tweet, a video could be very powerful. It could be very powerful. Like, my channel is freaking minuscule in comparison to AFTV. AFTV, they are the biggest fan sports channel on the planet. They're the biggest, I believe they're the biggest fan sports channel in the world. On the internet, the biggest online fan sports channel. So you're talking to millions of people out there. So, because you have to understand this. This isn't about taking sides. When it's right and wrong, you should be on the side of right and not on the side of wrong. Simple as that. So that's why, I could never, ever, if, let's say, for instance, Football Hut had this massive sponsor, and this sponsor obviously was were Israeli and they were from the Israel side, and the sponsor said, bro, if you mention anything in support of Palestine or anything, we're going to take a name off of this right now, because no, step out of it. I'll be like, sorry, can't do it. Because I have a brain, I have fingers, I can do my research, and from what I've researched, I'm like, nah, I have to stand on the side of right. It's like what happened with George Floyd. There is nothing about, well, what about the police and so forth? No. If you're a human being and you saw what happened to George Floyd, it's like, no, this is clear right and wrong. The police were in the wrong. We all saw the video. They were in the wrong, and there is nothing else to discuss. So you saying that you are against that police officer and you are for George Floyd, you're not taking a political view. No, you're standing on the side of right. Because again, when you do your research about Palestine and realize that due to the Holocaust and so forth, they needed to find a place for Jewish people, and they just decided to choose Palestine, even though there were already people living there. And people in Palestine said, no, we don't accept you people just putting us in a place where we already live. That's where this conflict began. It's not, if you do your research, it's not complicated. One side is on the side of right, one side is on the side of wrong, and one side is fighting against what they feel is an injustice. It's that simple. Don't rely on the news or so forth. Do your research. Well, it's 2021. There are several historical websites, several sources you can use in order to corroborate and so forth and find what the truth is. So, it's, I mean, like I said, it's a difficult one because I understand where Robbie's coming. See, Robbie isn't wrong. He's not done anything wrong. Because it's like, boom, these are guys that are our fans. See, here's the thing. He's not done anything wrong. Because there are people who are, let's say, Jewish fans and so forth who say, no, we don't want any kind of political stuff. We want you to focus on Arsenal and football, which is fine. So, brother, look, I'm focusing on Arsenal and on football and everything. So what am I doing that's wrong? Why should we have to step up and say we support Palestine when we are a football channel? We're not a news channel. We're not a social justice channel. We are a freaking football fan channel that has gotten famous off football stuff. So Robbie's not done anything wrong. But the side point is, you could do, like Robbie, you could do something very powerful by saying, it's wrong. What's happening? I'm speaking to my millions of fans, subscribers out there that what's happened to Palestine, it's wrong. Clear as day. We've looked at the facts. We've looked at this object and it is objectively wrong. And I'm using my platform, which I don't have to, but I'm using my platform and saying, no, this isn't a political issue. This is a very basic human rights issue. Slavery, that's human rights. Apartheid, that's human rights. You know, all these things, it's basic human rights. You know, so, but that's, I just wanted to say that out because I was like, because look, we all need money to survive and live and so forth. But as I said again, man, it's like, I pride myself on my moral compass and my ethics. And sometimes you may have to make that choice. Either you choose to maintain your interests or you choose your moral and your ethics. And some people will say, all right, choose your moral and your ethics and let's see where that leaves you. Because if choosing your moral and ethics leads to you being poor, those guys that are supposed to you, they ain't going to help you. So that's why it's a difficult choice, because if you say, no, I chose the right thing and so forth, now I'm now poor. Is anybody going to help me? No. Cheers for choosing your moral compass, but no, ain't nobody going to help you. But it's one of those things of where as I said, look, this conflict, it's not complicated. It's not complicated. It's not political. It's very simple. That's the scary thing. Is that the mass media and so forth have sold us a lie that this is complicated, there's negotiations. No, it's not. Do your research. Do your research. When you do your research, you say, oh, it's really simple. It's right and wrong. And it's very simple to side with Palestine. You're not siding with Palestine because, oh, it's the cool, trendy thing to do. It's like, no, it's they're in the right, you know. So, but tell me what you guys think, you know. I want to know. No, as I said, open discussion. Was Robbie right? Was he wrong? Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Don't forget to click the link in the description box below to join my Euro 2020 Fantasy League. Let's ride.